On the COVID inquiry, you kind of said you didn't want to appear at the second public inquiry, the Royal Commission, because it risks subjecting you to a torrent abuse, which you got anyhow this morning on News Talk ZB. Why not just simply front up for the optics, if nothing else, tick the box, take it on the chin and get out of there?
And I think the thing is this is being misrepresented. You know, we have actually been interviewed by the Royal Commission. I've been interviewed by the first Royal Commission and the second Royal Commission, and I've given them over 20 pages of written question answers. I indicated some concern to them through my representatives about the way the public hearings were going to go, as did other former ministers. I think it's a bit more complicated, a bit more complex than the way it's been represented.
I want to make sure that this Royal Commission actually isn't about the politicians or politicians pursuing a political agenda. It should be about giving people the opportunity to talk about how the pandemic might have affected them, how we can do it better next time. I hope we could do that in a way that it doesn't just become a political kind of shoving exercise, but actually becomes one about how do we do this better if we have to do it again.
Yeah, but you can see the optics on this. They look terrible for you. Judith Collins called you gutless and hypocritical. Winston Peters, let me see what he said. The podium of truth has now become the podium of evasion.
People can draw their own conclusions from that.
Do you think it's fair that Jacinda and Grant Robertson are running for the Hills? I mean, they're not in public office now, but you and Aisha Verrill still are.
Oh, and, I answer questions every day. If anyone's got questions about COVID-19 they want me to answer publicly, they get the opportunity to ask me every day.
Well, the COVID Royal Commission would love to ask you some questions. This is sad. As a nurse who was forced to have the vaccines or lose my job and therefore my ability to pay my mortgage, the hardest thing I ever had to do was hold a phone to my dying patient's ear whilst his mother, unable to see him, had to say goodbye. Never forget the cruelty placed in this country by the previous government. Yep, we certainly didn't get it right. And, look back in history and we got that one horribly wrong, didn't we?
If you lost a loved one during that time, or your business went broke during that time, or, you had other things that affected you, it was really, really tough.
Hipkins was in charge of police, health, education and Prime Minister. Everything he touched over the last 6 years has turned to custard. I honestly don't know how he believes he can make a positive change for our country with a smile on his face. The bloke is cooked.
I think once we got to the period around vaccination, we do have to recognise that that was when the social bonds that had held us together for 2 years really did start to stray.